30 years ago, an anime came out called Evangelion, which rocked everyone's world. It was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before, and I've been thinking a lot about it because of its 30th year anniversary, and also because this happened to fall upon my lap. So 30 years later, I'm wondering, does Evangelion still rock?
残酷な天使のように少年よ神話になれ
Hey there, welcome back to Surviving Animation, your guide to making it in the business of cartoons. My name's Eric Calderon, and this is a Evangelion Special Edition Guitar, which I've spent the last few weeks trying to learn to play, and I thought it would be a really good time to actually talk about the guitar as well as Evangelion's 30th year anniversary under the subject of, does Evangelion rock? And more importantly, can I rock as a person who has never ever played guitar before? So let's get into it. Let's talk about the impact of this incredible Japanese anime, what it means to us in the business of cartoons 30 years later. And can anyone play this thing? Whew, Evangelion, where to start? And for that matter, if you're trying to learn how to play an instrument, where do you begin? Well, starting with Evangelion, it was released 30 years ago, and it is a pivotal anime for any hardcore fan. And it really was the subject of my entire obsession in the early days when I started getting into Japanese animation. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. Here's a couple that are top of mind to me. First of all, when it came out, mecha anime was pretty plain. I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff out there, but story-wise, it was just good versus evil. It was a lot of giant robots smashing against each other, and, wasn't the most sophisticated thing. But what Evangelion proved is that a truly complex, philosophically deep, weird, sometimes unstructured, uh, piece of artwork or piece of high art form could be released in a way that fans would respond to. And there was no data that told anyone that this was ever going to work. It was really the vision of one director, Mr. Hideaki Anno, and his very particular style of storytelling, his very particular way of constructing shots, and his apocalyptic, insane philosophical vision of a story that involved one of the greatest anti-heroes of all time, biomechanical creatures, and an entire deep, deep dive into a lot of Judeo-Christian mythological imagery, some ideas about self and identity, a deep, deep dive into psychology and what makes a person happy, what makes a person sad, what makes society work, what makes humanity worth even having, and just a ride that took people from a place of relative comfort, which is here is a young boy getting into a mecha suit, devolving and deconstructing into one of the most complex pieces of cinema that has ever been seen. So that's as easy and as short as introduction I can make. And, talking about the guitar, what's crazy to me is that I'm a person who's never ever really played a formal instrument before. I mean, I had a little bit of singing when I was in high school and junior high, but I never really formally picked up an instrument and tried to play it. So, as I opened this thing up, as I started looking at all the pieces, and as I just started to put it together, I started to feel this kind of excitement, this idea that like, hey, maybe, here I am in my midlife, I can actually pick this thing up and have a little fun getting into music. But, like Evangelion, I had no idea what a deep dive it would be. But also like Evangelion, I enjoyed it immediately and then realized just how far I had to go in order to learn how to play this thing. Now, there are plenty of people on YouTube who will take you down the rabbit hole of what Evangelion means, what it's about, what its symbolism is, what are the meanings of the many endings, and the endless conversation that really a lot of hardcore fans or Japanese otaku spend hours and hours discussing what this thing is about. Now, my channel is really about the business of cartoons, so as I reflect on Evangelion, I really think about how it changed the business, what it did, and what we can learn 30 years later, especially in this kind of particular state where animation is, and how we can be inspired by what Evangelion did. So let's first talk about the big thing, which is the obvious thing, which is the paradigm shift. Now, what Evangelion did is through the vision of a particular creator, it took everything that was out there, everything that you thought was the way things had to be done, and turned it upside down. It took the most obvious and banal of Japanese anime genres or subgenres, which is giant mecha, and turned it into a platform for deep philosophical conversation. It also took the idea of good versus evil, of good guys versus bad guys, and flipped it upside down by making the main protagonist one of the most cowardly, unlikable, shy, introverted characters, the most unlikely of heroes, and turned him into really, humanity's and this dimension, I suppose, savior. And then on the opposite side, made kind of the main love interest, one of many, into a very aggressive, unlikable, overconfident, pushy character. So the paradigm shift on just those aspects are really, really what I think about a lot when I try to approach something new and creative in the business of cartoons. Now, the second thing it did that is really, really important to mention is that the early days of Evangelion, the TV series, this was not a high budget series. It was an innovative series. It was done with a special attention and a uniqueness to style that made it stand out and be different from a directing point of view, from a design point of view, from a whole approach. Really, this studio was founded and surrounded by people who wanted to specifically do things differently. And that was exciting and that was unique for the time. So let's fast forward to when it was a success. And from a business point of view, what happened? Well, first of all, it was a giant merchandising success. There was something about the particular designs, the spirit of the entire thing, the uniqueness, kind of the badging that an Evangelion fan would wear, like, kind of being in the know of what this is about, made it one of the most licensed properties of decades in Japan. I mean, and you saw it in everything, in every possible category out there, there was Evangelion something. So that was really powerful. So the last big paradigm shift I want to talk to is that's longevity. So yes, it created a whole new area that had never been tried before. Yes, it did break through and create a whole set of merchandise and licensing, but it lasted for decades. It's still going on today. It's 30 years later, and here's a licensed property from Evangelion because its legs seem to just keep going on and on and on. And then what happened nearly 20, 25 years later is this TV series, followed by a direct to DVD movie with a limited theatrical, had a whole new set of films to reignite it again, kind of a classic remake, a retelling. But again, the paradigm shift was even different here. It didn't move forward. It didn't do a prequel. It didn't do what in the West we would consider a classic sequel. It actually just retold all the original stories, but with a different kind of angle, with a different set of discussions, with a different ending and a different philosophy, almost a different tone. So Evangelion fans now get another set of materials that have the same themes, that have the same ideas, but approach the story in a whole new way. Now, all of this together just adds up to a franchise plan that no one could ever imagine. This does not come out of a boardroom. It doesn't come out of any kind of traditional classic 360 franchise analysis or from a bunch of business and marketing people. It's the vision of a particular person. So one big theme I think I've been thinking a lot about as we go into this strange new age of where animation is going to be for a while is who are these particular voices? Who are these unique thinkers who are going to use every limitation against them, every rule that they think things have to be, and just turn it upside down, flip it, spin it, and give us something truly, truly special from the single mind and artist's vision that makes us just addicted and hypnotized and want to follow the mind and the worldview of someone particular. So those are some of the big paradigm shifts that I think Evangelion has done since its inception. So now when I think about my own journey with trying to play the guitar and kind of getting involved in all of the stuff that this new instrument has taught me, it really made me realize that there is a new paradigm that I think I could also enjoy when it comes to music, which is I think there is a classic traditional path that most people will take when they want to really enjoy mastering an instrument. You know, my nephews are really musical. They're into the drums, they're into saxophone, and they've got a lot of training and they're going to school for it. And I think that path is something that I admire, but I didn't take. But can I have fun? Can I enjoy myself? Can I kind of just sit back and make something happen? So far, kind of, yeah. I mean, this gave me something to do. It, it took my eyes off of my phone and off of doom scrolling. And just with the basics of the app and with just playing around and even, kind of jamming with my 4-year-old daughter, I really started to have fun. So, I think the paradigm shift here is that some things are just meant to be for a good time. You don't have to be the best at it to have fun. I kind of suck at this. And who knows, maybe this will lead me to something in a new direction. Maybe I'll get more excited. But I have a fun start. I have a little tech toy. I have a little piece of memorabilia based on a franchise that I really adore. And hey, this is a pretty cool licensing model. I never imagined something like this could be made with such, perfection and fidelity and adoration of the franchise. But I'm going to be playing with this for a long time, so I think that's a good thing. Okay, let's answer the question that I started when this video began, which is, does Evangelion rock and can I rock? And the answer to the former, does Evangelion rock, is absolutely yes. I think after 30 years, it is still one of the most influential, important pieces of Japanese anime that proves how deep and how introspective and how strange and how wonderful an anime can be if the director has, the kind of unique singularity.
This is the instrumentality.
To tell a certain vision that is uncompromised and that is told with such a precision and expertise. When people ask me about Evangelion, I say it's like the Steely Dan or the Rush of Japanese anime, and that the people who really, really know just how good it is for all the right reasons. So yeah, still one of the most important animes ever made, and I'm still proud to say that I'm a fan. Now, do I rock? Definitely not. But I could rock, and I think that's the real important lesson with the Cyber-G guitar, is that you could rock. You could have an awesome time. You could get better at it. And when you're in it, it really does kind of feel like you're making music, and I'm not a musician. So I do not rock yet, but with this, I think I could definitely rock. All right, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this rather strange video. Evangelion is a very particular subject. The Cyber-G guitar is a very particular thing. They somehow all fit together, and was really glad to sit here and talk about it. I will see you in the next one. That is so cool.